We're live.
Okay, thanks, boss. So we have no public comment this evening, so we can move straight on to the curriculum committee agenda, which is first up, grade 1 through 5, social studies curriculum committee, Mrs. Jennifer Talley.
Do you mind if I flip the order of the presentation since I have teachers here with me?
Of course.
Okay, thank you.
No,
I
you
should
sorry.
do that.
You may.
So we brought American Government, Citizenship, and Economics to the curriculum committee a few months ago. It was a blend course from just our standalone economics and standalone American Government and Civics. For block, we wanted to bring it together as one. So this is, these are the teachers, Mr. Bush and Mr. Dios. I invited them here today to represent their course, their new course in the block schedule, and our rationale for changing that course or combining those two courses was that it's a natural progression for the students to have that economics piece while they're learning about government and civics. It makes sense to have that economics piece there instead of a standalone course. That way, when they take this course in 12th grade, they will get all of the tools to become active citizens in our political system. So we added the economics, which was rounding out the skills for them, and we're hoping that what we have written helps them to understand the United States and how the world operates economically. The rationale to require this course for seniors, so we're also suggesting that by the year 2028, when there are 4 credits required for social studies, that this be a required course for seniors to take right before they go out into the world, and it's their last touch of government, civics, and economics, so that they're really ready to become citizens and voters. So, yes, unless they take AP government, so that would be the caveat to that. They would gain applicable knowledge of the United States Constitution, so really diving into the Constitution and actually reading it, annotating it, and understanding it completely. Understanding their place in an informed and civic life, and what their responsibilities are to uphold those ideas of what the Constitution is having them apply, and then the ability to apply economic principles as well to their personal, professional, and civic lives. So there are 8 units. It became a very robust course. Unit 1 is called Foundations of American Democracy, and this is a link to Atlas. So what you'll see in Atlas is the time allocation, the standards, the big ideas, essential questions, content, and skills. And there's a lot to go over, so I'm not going to go over all of it. But basically in Unit 1, we're covering democracy and the Constitution and going very deep into the Constitution. I'm always very impressed when I go into Mr. Bush and Mr. Dios's classes, and they have binders for each kid with the Constitution, and it's their own personal copy of the Constitution, and they write on it and they learn directly from it. Unit 2 is the interactions among the branches of government. So again, standards, big ideas, essential questions, skills, the 3 branches of government, judicial, executive, and legislative. Unit 3, standards, big ideas, essential questions, content, and skills. And Unit 3 is our political parties and electoral process. Unit 4, civil rights and civil liberties. Big ideas, essential questions, content, and skills, covering the law and Supreme Court cases. Those groundbreaking Supreme Court cases. Unit 5, I was kind of referring to this as Economics 101. Learning, it's very familiar if you get a chance to look at what we've written for grades 1 through 5, the economics, some of the same terms and concepts are repeated here in 12th grade as well. Scarcity, choice, economic systems, Unit 5 is microeconomics. And I have my little cheat sheet here because I need it. And that is supply, demand, and government's role. You can correct me if I say anything wrong with the economics portion of this. Macroeconomics is unit 7. And they cover fiscal policies and economic health. And the last unit is global connections, trade, import, export, and then they do a really cool Shark Tank project. So it takes a few weeks, and the students develop a business plan, and they do a project, and they do presentations, and it's a really cool way to kind of end the course.
Who's Mr. Wonderful? Just kidding. Oh, lucky man. The Atlas part, that's not live yet, right? It's under like until we prove. I was trying to like go on, but it's not.
I did not put it public
Okay,
yet.
got it.
It's not public yet, but I will do that after I leave this table. Projected timeline is implementation in August 28th of 2024. And that's it.
So, Ms. Vitale, remind me, this is a semester course, right, not the full year, right? And the economics, is it wholly new content being added? Like, we weren't covering it?
No, we were.
Okay.
As an elective though, right?
Yeah, it was a completely different
that's
separate
right.
course, yeah.
Got it, okay. Okay.
So that, just for like you guys to combine it, what was the process like on like kind of how you moved stuff around and what you kind of decided maybe either needs to condense or maybe not and add in the economics? Like how did you guys kind of construct that? Sorry.
I just think it was, the economics part fits in well with it, and just combining the two courses together, because they both are semester-long courses and going down to the block. You know, where our thinking is like the first quarter that it is offered in the block will be centered around government, and the second quarter will be centered around that economics course. We thought about meshing economics into government, but I think that might be down the road. If we're gonna do that, that might be down the road, because I think going into block next year is gonna be a big enough adjustment. So I think for our students, it'll be better having two separate courses, even though with government, we do talk a lot about what's going on in the economy and the different types of economic policy. But that bulk of the economic content won't be until like the second half of this course.
But so then, did you take 2 full courses and combine 2 full courses into 1 full course?
Half or 2 half courses? Was it half credit? Were they both half credits?
Right now, they're both semester credits. Yeah, they're both half credits.
Okay.
Semester
Okay.
courses. So
Okay.
now,
But it's combined into another half credit. It's not a full credit,
No.
or it will be. a full
under
credit.
block,
Yeah.
It'll be a full
for
credit,
semester.
okay. Okay. I'm sorry, I have more to comment on. I just want to give other people the floor and not steal it. I just, like, I know it's not a required. I would assume as you guys teaching it would love it to be required. I know there's lots of districts where their lineup, even with like, if you're looking at just like the 3 required, is typically like world, American, American history or modern American history. That combines the early and the modern, and then the civics, economics, and government. So I love the idea that it's later on, like right before you're gonna, become an adult and you can vote, and I think that's perfect to have that like fresh in your mind. And I know it's not necessarily to you guys, but just something that, I know you're looking at the 4th, but obviously there's the 3 and not everyone's gonna get the 4, because if they go to tech or if they choose the personal finance piece or however the pathway rocks. I just didn't know if there was any appetite, and it could be down the road, but just looking at that, because I love a lot of the, units in there. I think they're super important for the part of you're gonna be an adult, you're gonna be voting, you need to know your rights, you need to know the Constitution. The projects sound awesome.
So what are you saying?
Like an appetite for, like right now we have early American history, we have modern American history, and then the 3rd required one that used to be was world, and now I know we're going to the 4, and this might be the 4th required. but like if you're going to tech, you only are required for the 3, so you might not take if this course isn't required, because it's not. I would love if this is one of the 3 required.
Okay.
And and then it would be like your junior year, or however you would fit in your 3 social studies, like if you were tech, or if you chose to do personal finance for the 4th. I don't know, just
Okay.
throwing that out. I don't know what you think.
But is it not right now?
We have 21st century, which is what Tim Diaz teaches.
A lot of our tech students take the 21st century citizenship class, which is a combination. It has an economics unit in that course. It also has international relations. It has law. It has government. So it has a bunch of different electives for those students who go to tech, getting a taste of different electives. So
But if you went to tech, you wouldn't have to take this necessarily.
if you went
No,
to
you
tech,
could take
you
it.
could.
Oh, I definitely.
As an elective,
This
though.
should be one of the required
I
ones.
know.
I think to get out of Penridge with a diploma, we have to take this course. My vote.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
It needs to be
Wait,
required.
Is the
I'm also not a fan of
21st century one not a
History
required,
tech.
that's an elective also for the tech school students,
Yeah.
but it covers most of the, like,
It's-
aspects of it.
It's a full year course compared to right now our government being a half year course. Students taking another elective, say international relations or economics or sociology or psychology or history through film. So the course, the 21st century course, just has a lot of all the different courses into that year-long course for those tech students. But this is I think the drive towards really a true civics course, which is,
For the tech school now, what are the required social studies classes?
Right now, it would be freshman, sophomore, just what we were talking
Yeah.
about, early American history. And that is the sequence.
Mm-hmm.
If the request is to go back and look at the sequence before required, because it makes sense, the sequence, what they take for history. It makes sense, freshman, sophomore, junior year. And we always thought it made sense then to take this course or what it was prior, right, in your senior year. So it's always been a required course, just until this year, when we only have 3 credits
Or
prior
if
to
you
this
take
year.
AP, right,
Yes,
Right.
AP, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But we always required this course.
as a half.
It was
Yeah.
a semester course, unless you were taking AP Gov. So it's always been a required.
But, and I know, because like some school districts have the world history as 9th, but we shy away of that because of the AP world we don't think is appropriate. Is that the reason, or what has been, like hypothetically, if it was Jordan's world and it was 9th grade world history, would 9th graders be able to take that AP world? Is it feasible? Could you adapt it?
Yeah, I don't know if AP would recommend that age group,
Right.
yeah, so
We
that's.
wouldn't either.
Because like some district, like a lot of districts, their world is in that 9th grade year, so just curious as to, I don't know.
But they do take some 9th grade AP courses. We do have.
We had one right now, computer science principles, and next year we'll have AP human geo, which is really recommended for
So I'm not really sure, are you asking to flip one of them so that tech school loses one of the 3 that are required and this gets substituted?
Well, like Ricky was saying, I feel like I think it's important for every student going through Penridge to have the American civics government, because that is the most, preparing you to, like, knowing your rights, like, and that's, I guess, just our opinion for that. So in my mind, it'd be like to condense, instead of having like 2 American histories, early and modern, most districts don't have that set up. It's more like world, American civics, economics, and American history. So that's, I guess, like looking at the sequence and the required. And again, it always goes back to that 4th social studies credit. It's difficult.
I would want to take a look at that, because most of the districts I'm aware of in the area still split U.S. History 1, U.S. History 2. It's just where do they do the split? So some schools have moved it down to the middle school for U.S. History 1 and just do U.S. History 2 as a 9th grade course or a 10th grade course. So it's not necessarily the districts have moved away from that, it's
Where they
that
spread it out.
we've changed the way the split has happened
So
in
where's
some
this-
places.
Where's the split though?
The split is always somewhere between Civil War, Reconstruction, that general period of time.
So if that's something that you would like us to go back and look at for not next year, it would have to be the year after, right? But we could go back there and see if we could move to 8th grade and change so that everybody would get this course.
I mean, that's put you guys on the spot, but I don't know how you, like, again, you live it every day, you teach it every day. I don't know if you feel like you've got enough students to come through. Do you feel like they know that they're, I don't know, like the rights and everything enough? Or would it be helpful to have it be more required? I don't know. No,
Well,
you don't have to answer. You
I mean, I was gonna say, I think the foundations for a class like this, having that American history, and even having 11th grade world history helps, especially when some of the topics that we're looking at. And we have students who are preparing to vote for the first time. And I think for 12th grade, this is the right spot for a course like this. And also for, I think, and Tim, you can help me with this, for the economics, some of the concepts I think are better at a higher age than at a lower
Yeah,
age.
I mean, they'll be entering college, they'll be entering the workforce.
Right.
So, like, talking about taxes and like
Right.
loans and credit, I mean, that all rolls over into what they're gonna be doing the year right after, no matter what path they're taking,
Right.
what they're gonna be doing. You know, a lot of that applies to when they're 19. So, I mean, if you're asking, like, I think, this is the perfect course for seniors.
So it's like, cause I would have been 18 before November my senior year. So I get what you're saying, but there are some that are already 18 going into their senior year
Oh, yeah.
early.
What do they take as a junior right now? What's the standard?
It's world history.
Yeah, I just feel like we can't have we can't have both. We can't have the flexibility we're looking for and keep adding to the requirements. So I feel like what they've put together is very representative of how the students are learning. I understand what you're saying, like age for voting. Like my daughter was 18. I didn't turn 18 until I was in college, though. Like I think you have the
Right.
the whole spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
but the best bet is 12th grade is probably going to be about when they're voting regardless. So I think it's been lined up well.
Well,
And
I agree.
Served us well.
yeah,
And I think it's a step in the right direction.
right,
And it's
Where we
more
want
than
to
just
go.
voting too. I mean,
Right.
it's selective service,
Mhm.
it's jury duty, and these are all topics that are part of the political aspect of the course that, you know, they graduate from high school, and in theory, that's something they can call for jury duty. They turn 18 their senior year, the gentlemen in the class have to register for selective service by, according to federal law. So I think that's where it's appropriate that these topics are talked about, their senior as opposed to before, because they're not doing that yet.
I think a part of the issue of what we might have to do is because we had to scale back that to 3 social studies credits because of the scheduling with the tech school. What we might need to take a look at is just what are the 3 required or expected social
Right.
studies courses that a tech school student is taking. And I understand where you're coming from. Like, what are the things that are essential if it were ideal? Like, if we could have our ideal world, what are the 3 courses that we would want them to take to be prepared to enter into their world?
Yeah, and I wonder if we could even be flexible, like, let's say some families want them to have that American government civics as one of the required, I don't know.
No, I
And
understand
that-
what you're saying.
Might not, I'm just throwing that out there, like
Right.
that might be.
So I think that becomes
if-
part of our question.
like
So
an
we're setting up right now a scope for what would be the required courses for somebody who has 4 social studies classes. These are the 4 classes we would want them to take, and then there is an AP alternative that they could take in some of those cases. But you're right, if we have a 3 requirement for those who go to the tech school, we have to have a conversation about what would be the 3 courses a tech school student would be expected to take before they graduate college.
I think that would only work if we moved something into middle school then, because it sounds like this class in particular, you need
Builds
the
on
other
concepts.
3.
Right.
So maybe unless we make the tech school requirement the class you were talking about that most students take as an elective, which would only be half a credit.
Wait, say that part again?
I'm sorry, what was the,
The 21st century.
Yes.
That's a full year credit.
oh, that's a full year credit? Okay,
Yeah.
well, so then that would be the tech
But
school
that's
option?
that's the course, it's like a little bit of everything, it's not really civics, so I think what we're saying is
Oh, it
you
has
should not
civics
be
in
able
it.
to
No,
get
it
out of.
has.
It has civics in it, but a little bit of everything, not
Little
just
bit
like
of
the focus.
everything.
Right,
Yeah.
it's not the focus, we're saying that, I don't think you should get a diploma from Penridge if you have not studied Constitution in high school.
We got
That's just
diplomas
my-
from Penridge without saying that.
I don't remember anything.
Oh, well,
I studied the text. I studied the Constitution when I came through
How do we
Penridge.
study
Come on
it? I
now.
feel like, you know, you studied
Well,
it like
look what
most
happened.
students.
Maybe you should have studied Constitution.
Maybe.
But honestly, though, to that fact, I feel like there's a lot that, again, like you should know your rights, and that should be something that you're fully, you know,
So
and
I
obviously you
think
can do that as an
Jordan,
adult.
do you think they do? Do they do cover that? The
Yeah,
Constitution and-
eighth grade, fifth grade too, not obviously to the depth of.
Right, not,
in
sorry,
senior
not to be
year,
crazy,
but-
but it's not to the
Yeah.
depth.
Yeah, it's not as in depth.
Yeah.
So are we able to move forward with this course?
Yes, I think so. I think we can move forward with this course. It's just a matter of, we want to at some point take a look at, when we're just going to say that the tech school has 3 required courses, how are we going to make sure the tech school students still get the content that they need?
So we may
Unless they
just
already
scope
are.
and sequence.
Exactly.
Okay.
Unless they already are,
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Hopefully not revolutionize.
Yeah, I'd rather find out if if it ends up being a real problem though too,
Right.
because if it turns out 90% of tech school students are graduating the basics that we're looking for here, I don't think we need to reevaluate the entire
Agreed.
course schedule.
So we will move forward with this course. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
All right. So I guess now grade 1 through 5, social studies curriculum committee, or are we flip flopping again?
Do you want me to do?
This is your meeting.
Do you want me to sit with high school? Because we have
Might as well. It's
geography.
thematic. All right. In that case, we'll be doing AP Human Geography with Miss Jenna Vitale next. Then.
Oh, that's not, okay. It's not my screen does not show that. This is just an update for AP Human Geography. So we have our advanced placement human geography. Here's where you can access it. There are 3 places. One is Atlas for the public, and that will take us to the unit. And I wanted to it's not doing that.
It's underlined but not clickable.
Sometimes if you get out of display mode, you can click on it.
Oh,
Sometimes, we're not gonna promise it.
Is it on a slide, is Google Slide, and maybe it has to be presented?
Yeah.
yeah, the point, yes. So in Atlas, there's a course description. Sorry. The syllabus and Canvas would be for parent access. If your student is taking AP Human Geography, you as a parent will have an observer account. So you would be essentially a student in the course. It looks like you're a student in the course, so you get updates when the assignments are updated or anything is posted on Canvas. You would be able to see it. Thank you. And also the syllabus will be posted there as well. So here's what Canvas looks like, or Atlas, looks like. Here under course description, there's a drop down. If you click on that, this link here takes you to AP Human Geography from College Board. So this is where parents and the public can peruse all of the information here for AP Human Geography, and it's linked right there in Atlas for everyone's easy access. And yeah, so if we come back here, these are the units for AP Human Geography. And there's nothing, if you click on here, it doesn't go to anything because it's all linked above in College Board, and that's how all of our AP courses are on Atlas. We have thinking geographically, population, I had to click on it in order to see, and migration patterns. And then we have cultural patterns and processes. I think I read these last
Yeah.
time and I said
Yeah.
processes like 10 times. Political patterns, but so here you see all 7 units and the timeline as well for those units. And if we come back to my PowerPoint. So here's the timeline. I just got an email yesterday from Ms. Marinelli and Mr. Gilbert. They are actually taking the course workshop in March, in 2 weeks. 1 week, March 14th, so 10 days from now. They're taking the course. So instead of it saying March through May, they're taking it in March. And then the course audit is in June, and that's where they take the syllabus and either write their own or use the College Board syllabus and then have it approved by, if they write their own, they have to have it approved by College Board. So they'll learn how to do that in the workshop. And so they can choose whether they want to use College Board syllabus or write their own. Then in July of 24, we'll order the textbooks, and Canvas will be populated in August of 24, and we'll implement also in August of 24. That's it.
So then if they choose either way, if they choose to write their own syllabus or they use College Board, I can't remember, will we link the syllabus as well?
Yeah, we
To-
said we would link it
Okay.
on Atlas.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how does it work with the textbook? Because I know we still had questions on that. Are we moving forward with that textbook and additional resources?
Yeah, moving forward with the textbook, the teachers are not aware yet of the additional resources until they go through that class.
Got it.
So first they have to do that, and then we can kind of talk about the
Okay.
resources. They don't know what they are yet.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. And then one more update. Now we can go to elementary, grades 1 through 5. And this, again, is an update. So this is the process. We participated in one of the third process linked here. So when we first started all of this work with elementary social studies, we discussed it as a leadership team. We discussed it as supervisors and with the coaches as well, making plans to write the curriculum using and starting with PA state standards. So we formed our team and we gathered potential programs. That was my job, was to gather the potential programs, and I had a certain list of criteria that I was looking for. So if you look at pre-screen, in the pre-screen portion of the process, there were, I don't even know how many social studies programs are out there, but we needed to whittle it down between 3 and 5 of them. So I was looking for programs or textbooks that had geography components, that had primary sources, that had literacy skills, that had text-dependent questioning, that had civics, that had geography, and also abilities to reduce lexile levels for students who are in learning support, and also provide those extensions for students who are in gifted. So I found some programs that I thought would work, and we discussed it as a leadership team, and we came up with the 4 programs that we started looking at today, actually. And so we're in the paper screen process right now, which is we have gotten together. There were about 25 of us in this room an hour ago, and we were looking at not just the materials, but we met with representatives from the companies, and they gave us their philosophy behind the way their program or textbooks are set up, and whether they have literature components, whether they have primary source components, whether they have digital components, and we were really just kind of going through all those aspects. We have 25 questions on a rubric that we're all using. It's the same rubric, and all of the 4 programs are getting scrutinized through those 25 questions, and it's on a scale of 0 to 5 scale, and those are the scores that we're taking. where it's not a discussion, it's a discussion-ish. It's more, it's not a debate, it's more, you're looking at your questions, does that program or textbook answer that question well, or does it not answer it well? And so that's where we're at now with the paper screening process. So then, the paper screening process is supposed to suss out whether or not you move on to the next step, which is the piloting step. Piloting is, and I'm sure that all of you are aware, you take one or two of the programs, you, maybe 4 or 5 teachers take 1 or 2 of the units from those programs and they actually teach them. And they, along the way, answer a series of questions and they take notes and they take data and they share that data with the team. And that's all the additional evidence in addition to those 25 questions from the rubric. That pilot will help us get extra information. And then from there, we, as a team, make a selection based on that evidence and based on that data. Then the last step is that the leadership team develops a plan to use the information and to implement and select a program. We're on the paper screen process. And it went well. We have 2 more programs to see on March 12th. We met with 2 programs today, and so we'll do 2 more on March 12th. I kind of went over this, but this is what we need to do. We use a textbook adoption evaluation rubric. It's district standard, and it's the adoption evaluation rubric that we use also for AP Human Geography textbook as well. So here's the schedule. Today we've met with Core Knowledge and TCI, and on March 12th we're meeting with Savas and Nystrom. We may or may not need a 3rd meeting, but I would love to, by April 2nd, be able to come back to curriculum with our findings. Now, that seems fast, and if you're looking at the process, I don't know that number 4 would be doable between now and April 2nd. So that's something we would have to discuss further, if number 4 is feasible with the time crunch.
So number 4 is really meant to validate number 3.
Yeah.
Right, so once, there are a lot of people in the room and people have opinions and people are writing down whatever it is that they're writing down, and we think this is where we're going to go. Anyone who was here last year, exactly what we do with science, it was piloted and we didn't want it. Right, so it's a validation process. So it's
Dr. Brewster,
important to do it.
can you please just clarify who's in the room as well?
Oh, here's a list.
Not by identity, but just
We
different
had about
representation.
Sure, we had teachers, administrators, board members, and parents, and instructional coaches.
Thank you.
Were you able to, with Social Studies Alive, that's when we,
That's TCI. We
TCI,
saw them
right,
today,
so we
yeah.
didn't pass that a couple years ago, and you mentioned that they updated, you had mentioned, I guess, something to them, and they said, oh, well, we made a lot of changes. Were you ever able to find out what that was, or if they really made changes? 'Cause that was,
She reiterated that today. She said that they did make updates and that so they made updates to the student journal part. And I don't know, I couldn't give her, she asked me specifically what I was asking about and I didn't know, so I couldn't tell her what was controversial about it. And so,
There was something controversial.
there was a lot.
Right, I there was some emails on like page numbers of when when it first came out, so I don't know if that would be helpful to even just ask. to
if
get
you
clarity.
could send me those page numbers, I would appreciate it. That way I can then give them directly to her and ask her what
Sure.
it looks like.
Yep,
Or
I'll
I
send
can
them
look
again.
myself,
Mhm.
because I didn't have those exact page numbers.
Sure.
And the grade level too,
Okay.
for,
We have those.
Could we all have it?
And you said thank you.
I think I did send.
Oh, you did?
send it,
Sorry.
and I did
Yeah,
see it,
I
and
think-
some,
yeah.
Sorry.
No worries.
because I
No worries. That's-
asked,
we get a lot
and
of-
that we did get the updated one, and the updated one does have some changes, but not everything of what you had on that list.
Okay.
So there were still
Some
some, they had a
things
list that was
maybe-
still there, but others
Right.
weren't, so I think that was the updated,
Mhm.
so all of it wasn't changed. If you're referring to the list that you sent
Right.
me, yeah, because I
Okay.
did look at that when we were looking at TCI.
Okay. Good. No.
was some of it changed, just not all?
Some of it it was,
Okay.
cause there was, but some of it wasn't. That's why when I was like, is this the updated one? Cause I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
But then when I did see some of them was not, the information wasn't there, but again, on that list, not all of it
Okay.
was gone, so.
And that's what, I know like elementary, they don't teach it every day throughout the whole year, so I'm thinking like even, maybe, not everyone's gonna love everything about every program, no matter what program we choose, right? But in my mind, I'm thinking because, and it may not be as huge of an undertaking, but let's say we go with SAPIS, for example, let's say that's the one that we pilot and people like and whatever. And you kind of spell out, like, let's say there's parts that maybe are controversial that we don't think are appropriate at the time, and maybe we just say, okay, teachers, we're teaching chapters 1 through whatever, and we're staying, because you can't cover it all anyway, because we only teach it half a year. So I'm wondering if that could be part of the process too, so that it's kind of, I don't know, specific a little bit to like, here's the chapters we're gonna focus on. I don't know, I don't even know if that's something feasible, but would be worth.
And wouldn't those align with the scope and sequence, right, those topics?
If they did align and we didn't want to teach them, then that would be a discussion. If it's on the scope and sequence and it's in the standards, but it's something that we feel is something we don't wanna teach, that would be a deeper discussion, I think.
I feel like the standards though are pretty like okay, like through them, like the appropriateness. I think it's more like the specific and how they want to teach to that standard. So I haven't seen like where I feel like the standards at this time for social studies are like inappropriate. Would just be like you're choosing a program to meet those standards. I don't see where that would possibly be an issue.
There's never a resource that we have to use every single part.
Right.
Even if we get the textbook for science, it doesn't mean that we use every single unit, or every single lesson of every single unit. So I understand what you're saying, Mrs. Blomgren, that we do choose SAVIS, if that's where we go, and then there's something within that resource that we do not wanna use, then yes, that will be within our purview to say, no, that isn't what we're using. Unit 3 is excluded,
Right.
if that's what you mean.
Right, like, and I just like, that could be something that is shared, I know that's what we're looking for too with elementary, like consistency, but I know a lot of teachers have great projects that they use over the years, that might be additional resource they wanna, still use.
Replace it.
Great.
Is there a way do we get copies of the textbooks for these different programs?
I have the samples, so yeah,
Okay.
if you want,
I would love to compare social studies alive to the old ones.
Is it full too, like, I know when you guys get samples, do you give full like first, second, third, right, or they only give like
they
fifth
give you
grade?
like one, so the TCI has a student journal, a teacher's edition, a lesson guide, and they give you the full shebang, and also a digital,
For each grade
yes.
level?
Yep.
Okay.
So if you want to see that, we have them upstairs.
Yes.
We just need to get them back for the next committee meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Career Pathways Update with Mr. Chris Dyer.
So formal, I said.
You can have a seat. You don't need to be in the lectern unless you want to.
Can I sit next to you?
The chairs are super comfy.
Of course I want you to sit next to me.
Oh, you can hit me. Several people have asked me to be short because they know I can talk hours on this topic, so I will be as brief as possible. So thank you for allowing me to come here today and have a quick update for you. Shout out to Mr. McCullough and Mr. Thomas for the behind the scenes work. Do an amazing job on music. So today I'm just gonna go through some quick numbers for you. Literally, I can talk about every single experience these kids are having, and I can say personally firsthand, kids' lives are changing because of the program. They're figuring out what life's gonna look like, but at least for the short term after high school. And I always tell them when they come and we sit and chat for several times that this isn't their forever. This is the next step. Right? So having an idea of what comes after high school is important. If it turns into your forever, fantastic. But we want to make sure they have a sensible, logical, feasible, attainable step once they leave their company. So I'm going to throw some numbers at you that you all have access to, so I'm not going to read everything to you. So the difference between enrollment and engagement is a lot of kids will sign up for the program, and as you see, we're approaching 592 total enrollments. So those are kids who said, hey, I want to take control of my future today. But you can see the actually engaged numbers are a little bit lower because kids have things come up. They're either sports season or they're working and they can't really totally engage in the program. But I think 283 unique engagements, because I do have some multiple engagers who want to try everything that we have. So which is kind of neat because they figure out more quickly what they are enjoying. So those 283 times that we get to impact students' lives with this pathway program. Does anybody need an overview of the pathway? Anybody that new that hasn't been familiar with it? So, okay. If so, please, I'll be happy to. So we have our engagement broken down to a couple different clusters. Career presentations is one of our most popular. So here we're bringing our professionals from our local area into the high school. This is a real low-level engagement for the kids. But I don't want to diminish the value of this process. We've had countless, probably a couple dozen students earn either employment through those quick meet and greets. We've had several internships awarded simply because a child came to a career presentation, made a connection. That employer got to interact with that child a little bit, figured out that they're professional, and polite, and they're like, hey, we have this internship, why don't you apply? So that's happened multiple times for us here, both last year graduates and ones for this year. So these total students are 321, I know the numbers are really small up there, but you can imagine our largest percentiles are seniors, because this is at their forefront, this is their front door. They're ready to take that next step. So the goal is sort of ideally, as we progress each year, that as our freshmen participate in these easy, low risk, they're already in high school, we're bringing professionals to them, that their freshman class really start to take advantage of this. And that way, by the time they're their senior year, they're not spending their time in these career presentations, they're actually out in the community, doing the internships, doing the mentorships, doing the job shadows.
During the school day?
During school day, absolutely, yes. But for our first full year running, I'm very satisfied and love these numbers, because that means the kids are coming out and really trying to take advantage of these opportunities. Again, there are some repeaters, like we have a medical professional come in, there's a lot of people who attend that, but I may have a couple of people also like, hey, I want to learn about Penn Community Bank and their HR division, so they might attend that as well, so there's a little bit of overlap there.
And how many career presentations are held each year on average?
We try to do at least 1 or 2 a month.
Okay.
And we try to hit all the career fields as far as in industry or business or finance and medical and science and health and engineering. So we try to at least offer opportunities for them.
When is that? Is that like during the ramp? Like when are the presentations?
Sometimes it's during the Rams period, but unfortunately, Rams period is so early today at the high school, those professionals aren't even started their day yet, so.
And the kids are like, I'm coming.
And the kids, yeah, a lot of kids are coming, seniors aren't there for late arrivals, so seniors wouldn't be here anyway. So we moved the model a little bit to do presentations in the library in the afternoon. I get a lot greater attendance from the students. The employers are much more engageable at that time, and it's just a better result for us. There's a little bit more on the back end scheduling and planning and making sure I get
So they just
everything.
miss a little bit of class to go to it.
What's that?
They're coming out of class then.
Yeah, they're coming out of class, so there's no, it's low risk, they're already here. I'm bringing the professionals to them, so they come out of class for 45 minutes or so and have the experience, so. Which is, it's just, to see that the students talk to the employer after the session and just really soak up what they're saying it's priceless to see. So, I encourage you all to come, if you wanna come see one. We have another on March 21st, I think it's in here maybe, so come check it out. I went too far. In that. So the next one is gonna be our workplace visits. Now, these are going to be, they're sort of like field trips. Thank you again. So these are students that I take from the high school, and we go out into the community. And we, as a group, will visit with these workplaces. So as you can see, we've taken quite a few students out into the community. Again, our largest demographic is our seniors because their urgency is there. These trips include the Bucks County Crime Lab, Penn Community Bank, Jefferson Institute for Biomedical Engineering, Regional Police Department. We are putting together one for the courthouse, Bucks County Courthouse, so there's a couple coming up as well. There's a medical one with Wood Mercy, I forget the exact location, but so there's a lot of those coming on board. Again, making sure that their schedule as the employer matches up to what we can provide. Because if we have a bus, it can't leave until 9:30 and it has to be back by 1:30 for our transportation issues. So trying to fit that small window into our corporate partners is sometimes a challenge, but the more we do this, the more they see as an employer that this is a value. It starts a pipeline. We were down at the Jefferson Institute for Biomedical Engineering last fall, and we're in their $300 million lab where they make these amazing cancer treatment biomedicals, and the kids are just like, this is what I want type of thing. And that aha moment was amazing. But it also worked for the employer as well because they're like, hey, we have some future employees that we may be able to talk to. So it's a two-way street for us, which is kind of nice. All right, so workplace field trips, they're great. Again, it's a little bit more time consuming on the planning side, but it's well worth the process. Job shadows, this is our untapped market. This is where I really feel that this program will take off. Some of our largest partners in job shadows are Penn Ridge School District, if you're familiar. So we sent a lot of children down to North Middle School or the elementary schools. Out of the 33, I think it was 13 did observation. And we have 2 young ladies who are presenting, will be presenting material to, a small group of kids. So they've been a couple observations. They work with their co-op teacher to develop an activity or a lesson, and they're going to try to deliver it type of thing. So which is a great program because many of us who taught have gone to school for education. You go for 3.5 years, and your first exposure to the classroom is your last semester. You're like, what is this? This is crazy. So we're hoping to sort of get that to them before they leave for college and make sure this is the path they want. Penn Ridge has been obviously an easy partner for us to work with. Penn Community Bank as well as St. Luke's has been a platinum partner as well for us in this process. So you can see again, the 12th grade is largely our top group because they have to provide their own transportation. So we are unable to transport every individual student out to every individual program that they want to do. But we've had things with obviously St. Luke's and Penn Ridge, Phillips and Donovan Architects, Bowler Engineering, Representative Shelley Labs. We had some interest for sending that young lady down to a United States congressional visit. So she's going to be with the Congressman or woman down there. We're hoping in April. So details more of that. Merck and Turner Sound Construction have been great partners as well. So they've all taken our kids, and again, all my, I haven't had one yet come back and say, listen, I don't want to do that again. They're like, can you send me more? So it's been a great two-way street for us, and the kids have the same experience. So the students' experience, I'm not going to read this to you because it's lengthy. What we do is after they have either a career presentation, a work site visit, or a job shadow, or a mentorship program, I ask them to give me some feedback, provide what they liked about it, what they didn't like, to sort of help the process for future generations, of course. So they all come back and they all love it. Like Riley here, she wants to be an EMT, so that experience for her was profound. It cemented that that's what she wanted to do, and she's ready to take the next step. So they're the kind of success stories that I love to read, which is awesome. Quick shout out, we have our Career Expo coming up here on April 18th. So we're going to have a large number of employers to come in, and it's going to be twofold. One, to provide students with opportunities career-wise. So it'll be the summertime pretty soon, so they're going to be offering summertime work. as well as part-time or full-time employment to some of our graduates, depending on the area of interest. So that's gonna be a great opportunity for our kids to meet with the employers face-to-face and sort of exchange information, and hopefully something will come out of it. Last year was a big success for us as well. So through the helps of Mr. Kelly to get this up and running, this is a great opportunity to pair the employers with our kids again, and every time we do, it always comes out beneficial on both sides. So that's coming up as well.
What time? Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Oh, sorry, that's great. It's 8 a.m. to 9:45 in the morning. So
In the morning, okay.
yeah, it's in the morning. So we'll have it's up in the white gym of the high school. And again, it's open to all students. So they'll have, there's a sign-up process they're going to have to take. They'll have an activity sheet that's going to sort of provide them some basic questions to have the interaction with the boards, because some students have never done it before. So we give them some basic information to facilitate that conversation a little bit more easier. And then they're gonna have to get their card punched by 5 different employers, get put into a raffle for a $50 gift card to Amazon, just to sort of maintain that student engagement a little bit. Hopefully just so they find value in it and not just go down there and mill around and collect some neat swag. So, which is fun, but hopefully I want to make it a little bit more purposeful. So last year we had over 650 kids come, but total engagement was probably a little less than half of that. So I'd rather have 400 kids there highly engaged. Would be the idea. Shall see.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
This is
Any
great.
questions?
Thank you so much.
Emails there.
I just
Thank you.
had a question too, like, because we have a little over 2,000 in the high school,
About 2,400.
and I know it's like a growing program, like we started this a few years ago, but
Yeah.
is there anything, I don't know, that we could help out with just to get more, like, to me, this is like the meat and potatoes, to kind of figure out a path that maybe you get a jump start that maybe you wouldn't know. And I get, the seniors are majority, and I know it'll probably catch on the more we continue
Yeah.
to do it. Is there anything you feel like could
So-
help?
So what's seemed fruitful recently was going to the 8th grade level and promoting the program there to sort of spur those incoming freshmen to get on board with the program. Parent involvement, as soon as a parent finds out about the program, I see little Johnny in my office 4 or 5 times in 1 week. So, so parent involvement is huge. They don't realize sometimes how much of a role their parents play, and it is critical. So that's going to be big. Yeah, it is growing. It is growing, and ideally, we do have the career pathways course that kids can take. It's summative through their 4 years. If they've done enough of the job shadows and all the career research projects and stuff like that, they can earn credit for their work. We have a medical career academy that was approved for next year. Looks like I haven't had the hard numbers yet from Mr. Hughes, but I've had several kids come in asking about it, what they need to do. So that basically they're going to have the final block of their schedule off next year, those seniors. And they're going to go work at St. Luke's for a number of hours every week. They also have special presentations performed by different physicians and so forth in each department. So things like that I think will help carry it a little bit. And it's amazing what the word of mouth can do. So their friends are like, hey, I went on this field trip, you should sign up next time.
Yeah.
That really works. So we're kind of grassroots it right now, but as you can see, the growth is.
Can you explain how I hound you on a monthly basis to promote your section in our
Yeah,
newsletter as well?
Mr. Kenny puts us out on news and notes every month for our parents to see. So he does a great job
But
with that.
that's part of that parent engagement, but it's also a resource for you guys. We're always a month in advance highlighting all the activities that are going to be happening from a college and career readiness a month in advance, and he knows it because he gets them nasty notes and send me your stuff.
It's due. And one of the biggest things is I want every student to know that this is for them. This is open to all students. You don't have to be in the Kansas course. You don't have to be enrolled. This is for anybody and everybody. They can sign up and come, and they can engage where they are. They can do everything under the sun, or they can just dip their toe in a little bit. So it's
Is it
key.
feasible that a tech school student might also enroll in?
Yeah, we just had a very large STEM career presentation, and there was probably a half dozen to a dozen tech students that were able to make it. Now, they were AM tech, so they were already back.
Okay.
So the timing sometimes may not work, but absolutely, if they're in the school and they're available, they can also take advantage of the job shadowing. The tech school already does a great job with that. They're already partnered with somebody in the field. But if they want to go another route, I have a young lady who's in the culinary arts, I believe, and she wants to start doing medical through us. So, okay, we can make it work. So, yeah, absolutely.
So this gives them more of a sampling, right? They can.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, it's a little. Yeah, they can do as little or as much as they want to interact with.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'd like to, I had a meeting with Mr. Dyer one day last week, and I asked him about an education pathway for, as you know, there's a teacher shortage. And
Yeah.
he, as he shared tonight, we already have that pathway, which is excellent. So, many years ago, I visited a school district in the Chicago area, and it was like a trailblazer with pathways. And District 214, one of the programs they had for students that were interested in becoming teachers, they would guarantee an interview in the future. Not the job, but if you go through, we will guarantee an interview. So we were discussing that possibility, but I commend you for all the good work that you're doing. I would love to see, if we don't already do this, maybe a virtual option where we have guest speakers come in virtually with, the advent of, Teams and Zoom and Google Meet, et cetera. So maybe folks who may be on the West Coast that are interested in giving back. I think another key thing we could do is try to interface with our graduates who want to give back to their alma mater and try to get them to give some time.
That's where LinkedIn's been great for me, because I know those graduates and how recently they graduated. I can send them a connection through LinkedIn, and then they follow back and they're like, absolutely, type of thing. So it's growing. And again, the seniors, it's relevant for them right now, but our freshmen that have been engaged by the time they're senior year, this is going to be old hat, and they're going to be like, oh, I've got this already. So.
But thank you very much. You're doing excellent.
Thank you.
Can I ask one quick, for the career presentations, is it just employers, or can anyone come and just talk about a career, or do they have to be representing the company?
No, not at all. So we've had just lawyers, attorneys come in, they're not really representing anybody.
Just talking about it as a career.
It can be any career. And if anybody knows anybody, or if you know a guy, she's up there. All right, but we'd love to onboard as many as possible. Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
I guess I'm turning it over to you.
Well,
Okay.
Okay, hold on.
I have one question back on something. But I don't. Well, before Jenna leaves.
Before we,
I think.
Hold on. I just had another curriculum question that's been kind of eating away at me. So we have the 4 required social studies credits, and now with the American Government and Citizenship and Economics, all 4 of those classes are predefined if you're like not a tech school student, correct? Like we have 4 mandatory, required classes.
Are you including 8th grade in that, or is it just the high school?
Just the high school, I'm sorry. Okay, so
By
I thought
2028, there would be 4 required.
In 2028, there'll be 4 in that course we just
So
showed.
you're asking if the course.
is that course one of the required ones?
There's 4 required,
Yes,
yes.
it
Yes.
will be.
It will be one of the
Because
4
there'll be 4
required.
in 2028.
Right, and so all 4 of those are kind of like predefined then,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So I know there was like a personal finance requirement from the state. Is this a state requirement that this be required, or is this we've asked for?
The state does not require, the state requires standards.
Right,
They characterize that as what they think students should know and be able to do. That is what they do.
yes.
Now, they give you all these standards, and it's up to us, the school districts, to say, how can you create courses around those standards?
Got it.
Whether it's 3 credits, 2 credits, they really don't identify credits in public schools.
Mm-hmm.
So most most high schools are gonna see everybody doing some
Right.
right, of how they take standards to create courses.
Okay,
And that's what we do.
right.
So we take the PA standards like every other district does, and we create courses based on those standards. So it could be 3, it could be 4, right? Could be 3.5,
Yeah.
because basically that's what that was. Because if you weren't taking AP courses, you had a semester course.
Okay. What other subjects are like that? Like, is math like that, where the 3 credits you have to take, the 3 classes you will take in high school are already defined for you?
I know, don't be mad, but I'm like, ever since thinking it's just the standards, it's not that we are required to do 4 English. I'm like, maybe we should relook at that.
There isn't anyone who doesn't
No.
want to.
I'm not talking about the 4 credit requirement. I'm just trying to think about like,
You're talking about within the required.
So in math, you would
courses.
traditionally track.
yeah.
So how many options you have in math is usually predetermined by what math you come into high school.
Okay.
So for instance, if you were coming in as an Algebra 1 student, you have Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and then your third, you start your 4th potentially, you would go on and take another one.
Okay.
Or choose an additional science class because it's 7 combined 7 combined science and math.
Okay.
So yes, most have some sort of, this is the suggestion that we make as to how you would progress mathematically or scientifically through this. And there are prerequisites built into most of those programs.
Yeah. Is your point that there's not very much choice, like you have to take American history?
Yeah,
world
Lou, where are you
history?
at on that?
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not.
Like if you wanted to take psychology,
I might
that would be
honestly
an
like.
elective.
I'm always kind of curious, like what's driving something, you know, and so I just wanted to make sure that like because I know this was a big thing for a while, like the civics and things like that. But one of my concerns previously was like I don't feel like there's evidence backing up that like our students are graduating not understanding these things, and so I was like, are we pushing for something that might be better as if one of the 4 required credits? This could be an option to be your 4th one, but there could be other options too. I don't know.
There are, so there are electives. It's always been what we said tonight.
Right.
That has always been what's been here for the last at least 12, 15 years.
Got it.
So you took your freshman, sophomore, and junior, you could take electives, you could take as many, right, if you wanted to, but come senior year, you took that course.
Right.
And that's because we thought it was really important to take that course senior
Okay.
year.
Right. Thank you. That was it.
Okay.
Just trying to understand how it lines up with like required courses versus required credits and stuff like that.
The state, they require standards,
Yeah.
right, and then they equate that way to courses, and then of course, you know, and we do develop wonderful electives for kids too.
And just to speak to the importance of a civics and government class in
Yeah.
that period of time, I mean, had it not been for the fact that the teacher pulled me aside the first time ahead of me going to vote, because I voted in my senior year for my first election, and gave me the discussion of here's what to do, here's what to bring, here's what you need to know.
Yeah.
I would not have necessarily known that. And my first time voting, somebody tried to prevent me from casting my ballot by demanding of me proof of identification that was not required. They asked for my license, then they asked for my social security card, then they tried to make me go and get my birth certificate.
Oh, really? On top of all
on
that?
top of all that, because they just didn't want me to vote that day. They wanted me to leave in the hope that I wouldn't come back. And so to have that, you know, the fact that somebody had sat me down and had that conversation as my social studies teacher and said to me, look, if these things ever happen, you need to be prepared that somebody might ask, but you don't need that. And here's what you do if somebody asks for that. Don't leave blind. Ask for a provisional ballot. Ask for an election watcher. You know, just stay there. Had somebody not had that conversation, I might not have gotten to cast that first ballot. That was so important to me and so such a pivotal moment in my life. So having that as a course where kids are armed with that information is so important.
I agree. I think this is a really good course, and I don't want the course to go away at all. I just didn't. In making that the required course, I was just wondering where that push was coming from.
And you know, to your point, you said like there's not a lot of evidence to show if people once they graduate, if they leave, it's hard to track. It's hard to measure that. So I get what you're
Measure that
saying.
for anything.
Right, like measure that for the 4 credits. But yeah, so I get your point on that.
Okay, that was it. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm just gonna do a quick update on
Yeah.
this. So we have a committee, well, we're forming a committee on AI, artificial intelligence. 31 people on the committee, it is growing. We have 4 seniors, I know 3 have confirmed already. We have teachers, we have several administrators, I have 1 parent from the high school, I'm waiting for a parent from each of the other 2 levels that I haven't heard yet, and which members may be participating. Those meetings will be March 11th. We will have an overview on March 11th with Chad Evans from the Bucks County Intermediate Unit. He will really talk about, it's really an overview, he does a wonderful job of that. On March 18th, we will have a solicitor come, Mark Walls, and he will talk about all the legal implications for school districts with AI. And then on April 3rd, we will have a work session, and that will be around the committee's 4 key outcomes, which are looking at our academic integrity policy as it relates to AI. Diane Miller, our tech director, she will be running this with me. We will be looking at AI platforms and which ones we'll use, which ones we won't use. We will be looking at the guidelines, develop the guidelines for usage, and professional learning recommendations for our staff. So that is what the committee is designed for.
Why, just curious, because this is coming up in other districts, but why is this a thing that, I don't know, that is something that we are, what's the motivation behind, I guess, starting the committee, putting it as like a focus, what started that?
Really, because you definitely need academic integrity.
100%.
So I think teachers need to be aware of what kids already know, and I met with
Right, like
seniors, they know more than I do. I mean, the students know a lot, right?
Right.
And we're not foolish enough to think we're gonna stop it, because that's not
Right.
going to happen. But what we do think we can do is provide professional development for our teachers to know and understand even a system like a red light, yellow light, green light.
Mhm.
You're not using AI, you're exploring AI,
Mhm.
please develop something with AI. So the more professional learning the teachers have, right, I think it's better guidance for students.
Is it also gonna entail, like what you're saying, you know, when it goes to like writing papers and like as a teacher sometimes you're like, okay, this doesn't see that this student's writing, it could possibly be from chat, you know, whatever. And then is that like developing like how to identify and then how to have that conversation, or, because it would be hard to prove, but you know, so
Right,
maybe
now
it's
there's
around
some
those things
systems
as
who can
well.
tell you, yes, I use that. I mean, it is
Right.
just, the minute we say one thing, it's gonna keep changing.
Right.
The important
But we
thing is
have
to
to
get.
have the conversations with teachers, because it's already out there.
Right.
And the Penridge School District needs to be able to say what we believe is acceptable and important and useful, and what we think is not useful,
Right.
possibly dangerous, and that's why the attorney's coming the second day.
That's a great point. I would think about that too, because at the same time it gets out there and there's a lot of students that are on to it, but then at the same time you don't wanna like invite all this that maybe aren't knowledgeable, and then they're like, oh, I know it's out here now, I can use this to what, like
Do we
maybe.
have software to tell if something has been, I know there is software.
There's stuff being
Do we
done
have-
right now.
Yeah, there's a software that's been around, I don't know, 10 to 15 years, turnitin.com.
Well, we have turned it in.
Right, so that answers the question, we have turnitin.com.
And it'll,
That will
Like,
check
like this
to
is
see if it's,
auto-generated or
plagiarized or
Yeah.
lifted from somewhere else. But I, to your question earlier, I think we need to review this. We may not have all the answers. Clearly, it's a fluid situation. AI, I attended the National Conference of Superintendents a couple weeks ago. It's a hot topic right now. Everybody is just, studying it. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And I think if we can come up with some guidelines where it's used responsibly, where we're not terrified of it, and where, I totally agree with you. I don't think a kid should go on ChatGPT and have their term paper written in a matter of seconds. But maybe if we can use these platforms where a kid can do research, meaningful research, learn how to do citations, and I think there's a lot of value in it, but we just have to meet as a community to figure out what we're comfortable with and where our kids are going to learn the most and have enriching experiences.
Yeah, I mean, it's in careers now too. Like,
Right.
there are companies trying to figure out how to benefit from AI, so
Right.
we don't want them not touching it, just in the right aspects.
It's revolutionizing how we have to do research papers, things like that. We're doing a research paper right now with some students, and I had to sit down and have a conversation. What is appropriate use? What is inappropriate use?
Right.
And know that I'm gonna catch you if you engage in inappropriate use of this technology.
Yeah. No more computers, back to paper and
I
pencil.
was gonna say, I know, go to the library and do your research with encyclopedias, you learn so much.
Right. So many of those encyclopedias are online.
Thanks, Kathy.
I just had that
I think
conversation.
I'm just doing public comment at the end of it, yeah.
Okay. All right, so moving on to activities, Mr. Palmer.
Yes, well, this evening we have 2 overnight trips for your perusal and approval, and 1 presentation on our athletics programs, use of Huddle, and our My School Bus ticketing, e-ticketing program. So we'll start with the FBLA trip. Mr. Tater, if you'd step up.
Across in front of the camera. Alright, I'll wait.
Put it on you anyway.
Okay.
So this is my 5th year going on this trip. The only year it's in the rationale and whatnot. The only year we didn't go was during the pandemic. This year we looked at a couple of different options, as far as how many days we were gonna be there, how much would everything cost. This is actually, the numbers are a little bit different. I had a student drop out. The parents, the kids already missed a lot of school. They've traveled a couple of times this year, so the parents didn't feel comfortable having their student miss a couple days. So that increased our numbers. The numbers at the very bottom, it came out to almost $1,600 just to have the students register, just to show up. And in years past, we've stayed at the FBLA sponsored hotels. To stay at their hotel would have been another $6,000. So we took it upon ourselves to do some research, see what would actually work. Holiday Inn in Grantsville, which is where I stayed when I went to a conference in November. We blocked off rooms. They haven't been anything. I just had my card on file just to hold them. They're actually going to have their own security work. The FBLA has security, but it's really just they put a piece of tape over the door at night, make sure no one like sneaks out. So in talking to Mr. Getty, we were just like, you know, it's exactly. We were looking. We were like, okay, it's 15 kids to spend $7,000 for 2 days. I don't have it in my heart to go to these parents and say, hey, your kid qualified to go to this, you know, state-run thing, but I need a check from each of you for $600. We did some fundraising. We did our 3-on-3 basketball tournament last Friday. We made almost $700 from that. So it came out, it says 125 there. That was before the one student dropped out. So it came out to 140 a kid. And the students know they're on their own for their meals. And they're only missing 2 days of school. In years past, we've stayed over Tuesday night. I talked to the woman that runs it at Quakertown. She's going to collect any awards for me. I'll run up to Quakertown after school. I'll give them to the kids when we get back. The last day, there's a 3-hour award ceremony. I had a tough, talking to some of the kids, you know, sitting after being in sessions all day from 7 to 10 o'clock at the Giant Center. We were there last year, and I looked halfway through, and half the kids were asleep. I'm like, okay, we don't necessarily need to do that. The opening one is good. There's a keynote speaker, but just trying to make it as cost effective for the kids. You know, they're there to have a good time. A couple of them have presentations. Our first one is at 8 a.m. on that Monday. So thankfully we don't have it like last year. I had to get the keys to the van Friday because we had a girl presenting at 7:30 Monday morning. So we literally got to Hershey, threw it in park. She ran out and did her presentation, and then I dropped the rest of the kids off. So the kids have really enjoyed it. They've done well. We had 5 first place finishers, 3 or 4 second place, and then all scattered between 3 and 6 place. So they take an hour-long test on whatever program they want, anywhere from accounting to web design, pretty much anything in between. I don't have the list of what each kid is going for, but we were really happy with the turnout.
Can you say how many schools and students would be?
Well, the fact that they have to rent out the Giant Center should say enough. I would say probably like 200 plus schools are there from all over the state. I mean, our chapter is 45 kids, and we're a small chapter comparative to some schools. There's one, like New Chamonix has 130 kids. You know, we'd like to see it grow to that. I mean, it's a little difficult when like there's so many clubs going on during the Rams period that I know Mr. Plow and I we have a couple kids that overlap that is check in with me, do what I need from you for our club, and then I'll write you a pass to go down or vice versa. But I found the trip to be a lot better in the last couple of years after the pandemic than it was before. So.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
And then we have Plow to talk about a trip for next school year.
Hello everyone, my name is Jason Plowa. I am the advisor for the ski club here at the high school. I know some of you just been presenting in the past with a lot of new faces, so I'll just do an overview of what the club is. Prior to COVID, we had about 350 kids in the club. Unfortunately, we've seen our numbers take a big hit, but we still try to provide as much of an opportunity as we did prior. So we do our local trips to Blue Mountain on Thursday nights. We do weekend trips to New England, typically Vermont, sometimes New York. And then we'll do our trip out west, and that's what this proposal is for. You'll see that the location has multiple locations listed just because a year out, you know, we try to plan the best trip possible for the kids. The cost I have is $2,100, which was the same as last year. I was actually able to lower the cost to $1,850 this year. So throughout the planning process, if you find flights that are a little bit cheaper, or a house a little bit cheaper, you know, working with the mountains and convincing them that, you know, we're high school groups and you should give us discounts, and, you know, so we've gotten better at that over the years of making the trip more affordable. So we were able to knock $250 off. This is just the sample itinerary on the front that goes through, you know, what the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, etc. would look like. It's a student-centered trip, and that's what as a teacher, that is one of the coolest parts about these trips. They cook, they clean, we get to the airport, we ask them what to do, and sometimes it is, I mean, we had kids this year that they had never been on a plane before. And then watching them navigate through security, and it's pretty awesome. And they do a great job. I make sure that nobody gets left behind, and I have a great team of teachers that I work with, but for us, we get a lot of enjoyment out of that. Watching kids try to read directions on things in the kitchen is fun, or putting dish soap in the dishwasher is fun. So, you know, a lot of these things have happened in the past, and it's truly, for our seniors, it's like a culminating event. They've been in the club since middle school, and, you know, they've been looking forward to this for years, and they do a great job. They have a lot of fun. As far as the trip, we've done this for 8 years, with the only exception of the pandemic year. There is a change on here, not a change, but an addition. The kids want to look into British Columbia, so obviously they would need a passport. The board approved in, I believe it was 2020, for us to go to Vancouver, but we couldn't make that work, and then COVID happened. So I don't know if I could pull it off, but I want to at least explore. So I think that would be a great opportunity. Skiing and snowboarding is so expensive. And, you know, the winters are hit or miss. We went to Idaho this year, and we had a blast. All the locals said it was the worst year they'd seen in 7 years. But it snowed every day since we left. So, you know, you never know. And,
I believe it's 10 feet.
That's Tahoe. Yeah, Tahoe is, they're 8 feet and counting, and it hasn't stopped since Thursday. So that's too much, though, because none of the mountains are open, and they can't get to the mountains.
Just drop right in the snow.
Yeah. So over the years, we've had just a ton of success. The kids have had a blast. The calendar for next year, I believe the kids would be missing 2 days because there's not the in-service day packed around their President's Day. Our kids, you know, they know that ski club is never an excuse to slack in school. I send an email out to the staff and to the administration about making sure the kids are good to go as far as academics and a behavioral standpoint. In order to apply for the trip, the kids have to fill out an application. They have to write a short letter as to why they should go. And I also let the kids know, I'm sending this out to the staff. If you have any thought that a teacher might have a reservation, let me know. you know, and so I have to work a little bit for it, and that kind of gives it a little bit more of an incentive to follow through with all the steps. We've had kids in the past have study sessions. We had kids doing calculus at the dinner table, which I couldn't help them at all, but I was very proud to watch that happen. Ideally, we want to keep the cost as low as possible. So I have 21. It won't go over $2,100. I'm really hopeful that I can do the same thing that I did this year by saving money here and there. As far as the security and the emergency plans and things like that, with a sport such as that, it's kind of when things happen, then we deal with it. And if I have to get other people involved, then I will. All of the mountains and the airlines and things have their own security. We rent a shuttle to pick everyone up here. That way, everyone's together as a group. We go to the airport as a group. We walk through the airport as a group. And then we have rental vehicles and then a house that's in proximity to the mountain. So every trip is a little bit different. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of planning that goes in. But the goal is to try to provide the best trip possible for the kids. And sometimes it involves an activity. We've taken the kids tubing before, like skiing. I don't know why they want to go tubing, but they did, and they had a blast. We've done bowling. We took the kids to indoor skydiving one year in Utah. So we try to make it an event for them. So, any questions?
I think it's exciting. I'll be excited to hear where you guys choose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So what I did last year, and it worked really, really well, during the RAMS periods, I had our officers come down to start the planning process. So we started off with 4 places. We did Montana, Eastern Idaho, Western Idaho, Utah, and Colorado. And then we quickly eliminated Colorado just because of cost. And then we went with the 4, and then we just slowly narrowed down the list. And that's how we ended up in Western Idaho, which it totally exceeded my expectations. So the kids had a blast. The first day, we had a blueberry powder day, and it was a smaller mountain, and the whole mountain was so excited that we were there. Like, oh, you're our group, and we had 20 people, and it was just awesome. So for a lot of our kids, it was the first time out there. Like I said, a lot of them it was the first time on a plane. It was an awesome experience.
All right, 2 questions.
No.
Have we ever considered using our own transportation to defray costs, so you don't have to rent a shuttle?
I never have. I knew that I thought the policy was we couldn't bring equipment on school buses. I don't know if that matters after hours or not. So, we could definitely look into that. Sometimes we would use First Student, and that's the cheapest as far as the shuttle goes. Mm-hmm. However, you're also competing with everyone else that uses First Student. So if we need a pickup this year it was 2 a.m. They couldn't provide one for us. So we went with King's Limousine. I believe we paid, I'd have to look, I want to say $700 or $800, and that was round trip to the airport.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So
And the Blue Mountain trips was using charter as well?
Blue Mountain we use Perkiomen Tours. Before that we used Hagee before they went out of business, and we do the same for the Vermont trips.
Wait, and
Second
we use that
question.
because you can't take your snowboard on a school
So
bus?
kids on days of school trips, kids can't ride district transportation just because the buses are bringing kids to school and then they're carrying on skis and snowboard equipment.
right,
It's not
right.
practical. Kids could get hurt, things could get damaged, so they get dropped off here. As far as after school, I've never looked into school buses. It is you're skiing, you're snowboarding, you're tired. It's a more comfortable ride, like being on a charter bus for sure. It also has a bathroom, which
And Wi-Fi.
yeah, and Wi-Fi. So,
Second question I
sure.
have, do you need chaperones?
Yeah.
I do have a team, but yeah, if you listen, I've been talking to this one over here to get him up to the mountain. So we're always looking for people. If you want to come out and do some turns with us, absolutely.
It's a wonderful program, and thank you for continuing
It's my
to
pleasure.
offer it.
That's a big responsibility.
Yeah. not
So
burning out.
the kids do a lot. They really do. And so I kind of just sit there and govern. And sometimes they're like, oh, we want to have steak for dinner. No, that's not in the budget. So, and once we have, the application process will start in May to June. And then from there, I get a pretty good idea of what the head count is. And then all fall, we start planning it. So we'll have, meetings in my classroom after school or during RAMS period. We'll go over the menu. And so we give them options of what we've done in the past. We can handle any dietary restrictions. And so literally we ask the kids, what do you want us to buy? And sometimes it's like, well, they're kids, you know what I mean? So we this year we were able to go to Costco, which it solved most of our needs. You never know what high school kids are actually going to eat. What they say and what they do is two totally different things. The breakdown was we had 5 boys and we had 10 girls this year, which typically it's the opposite. And the boys didn't eat. They took a loaf of the Hawaiian rolls, they put it in their bag on the mountain, and they were just eating rolls all day. It didn't make any sense, but
They were going out and out. They're like, I don't want to come in. I'm just going to be out there.
so every year it's a different set of kids that they have different things that they like, and so we try to adjust. I meet with the chaperones after the trip to see, all right, we bought too much of this, not enough of this. Inevitably, you're always adjusting on the fly. So that's what we try to do. We try to be as flexible as possible throughout the process, just to, again, provide that best experience for them.
I really like this, and I heard a lot of great things about the ski club too.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I have a general question though, because like $2,100 is a lot of money. Are there ways that if students want to come but their families may not necessarily be able to afford it, that they can get help, or does this club do fundraisers? Or?
So it's hard to fundraise.
Yeah.
And I say this because we have such a large club. So we could have a fundraiser, we raise 10 grand, but how do you differentiate who gets what?
Right.
And to try to make it equitable and fair to all, it would be a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
At the same time, they'd save $10, because of the number of kids that we have. So one of the ideas that we had, and I've been in contact with a couple parents, and again, this is in the very early stages.
Yeah.
I need to talk to the powers that be to make sure that we can do this. Warren Miller makes ski films. It's a big ski film company, and every year they come out with a new film. And one of our neighboring districts, they do a Warren Miller night where they show the latest ski film, they have it in the auditorium, and it's a fundraiser. So they'll sell tickets at the door, Warren Miller gets their cut, the rest of it goes directly to the club. So that right there is something that we're starting to turn the tires with to see if that could work for us. And then again, you talk to your vendors, you talk to your ski shops, you talk to the mountains to see, hey, we're gonna have this, it's great promotional for you, would you like to donate anything? And then you have a raffle, and so there's ways that you can raise funds to help offset costs. I will tell you that in the past, there's been situations where we have provided for kids. Okay. So kids signed up, dad lost his job, kids still came on the trip. Or if it's not information that I'm privy to, but in cases when I do find out about things, there's always things that we do to try to help out when we can.
Yeah, I know clubs like a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good.
Sure. Any other questions?
I would like just to put a plug in for the work that Mr. Plowa does. I've been involved in school-based ski clubs for upwards of 20 years, and the sophistication of the programs and what he offers to students here at Penridge is something that my kids enjoyed when they were here, and I think that's a credit to him. And I know Mr. Tater kind of ran out, but just in those processes and how it is student-driven, is that bridge, and I know we're in a different meeting between where pathways, college and pathways, and then boots on the ground, we're getting those soft skills. Because when you're taking kids on these large scale trips and actually showing them what it means to navigate an airport and to meal plan and to do that based on their passion of skiing or even FBLA, that's really now where schools have taken our kids' experiences to another level. So I just want to, publicly thank Mr. Powell for the work that he puts into this program, because it is, and I know Tater kind of ran off, but those events are something that are important for our entire school community, and then really build a robust high school experience. So kudos to you.
Yeah, being smart with your money. I like it. Yeah.
Great, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I always just eat smashed peanut butter and jelly sandwiches that were in the bottom of your boot bag all day.
And I was on the phone to put Whistler on the list.
Conveniently
Land,
style.
one of those who shops for 20 people for 5 days at Costco, right there, I would be out. That sounds harder than getting them to
Getting them through.
As a parent, though, I would appreciate it because I feel like it would, like vacations, family vacations are, you're kind of trying to go, it's vacations usually kind of a little more like free willing. But I think it'd be nice to go and be like, no, you got like a serious budget here. You got,
Right.
and you can figure it out. There is a cheaper hotel that's just as nice. There is like,
Yeah,
I like it.
yeah, that was good. Alright,
Good evening, everyone.
Hi.
For those that I haven't met, I'm Scott Hagan. I'm the Assistant Principal of Athletics and Pupil Services. I come to you tonight to talk about two things that would be a positive upgrade for our community and for our athletic department. And those two things are called Huddle Focus, which we'll talk about in depth, and then MSB ticketing to look at electronic tickets. I just want to preface this by saying that during COVID, we had a pretty cool thing. Some graduates that went to Penn Ridge, they came in and they would set up filming of games for our athletic department. And that was before I was in this position. So a lot of those nights I became like the announcer on the YouTube channel to call those games. And to watch those kids come in at 2:30 in the afternoon to get ready for a 5:30 game, or they were even putting in basketball season, they were putting microphones underneath the rim so that you could hear at home like the noise of the ball hitting the rim. And seeing that huge process that they went to, and then about a 2-hour cleanup after every event, plus they're working feverishly during the game. And the world has changed, and the idea of live streaming games is in our right in front of us. And that's the main topic tonight is Huddle Focus, so that we can live stream our games to anywhere across the country or the world through an app. And then the second piece is about MSB ticketing, which is something that we currently use for our games to admit tickets. And we've probably all been to a concert or a Phillies game or an Eagles game where you walked in, they scanned your phone with your ticket, and you walk right into the venue to go in. So there's two things I want to talk about that are not necessarily brand new technology, but there's something that we see every single day of our lives. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Huddle Focus, and we're going to show a quick video here. Maybe. Just
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Here we go.
The landscape of sports is changing. Artificial intelligence is the next evolution. And we're bringing it to fields and gyms everywhere with Huddle Focus, our indoor and outdoor smart camera solution. With multiple lenses and automatic player tracking, you get the perfect angle every time. Just mount it, set it, and forget it. Huddle Focus will automatically start recording using your team schedule in Huddle. Or you can record on the fly with the Huddle Focus app. The era of hands-free film is here. Instant uploads allow you to analyze video immediately after the game. Or let our team of analysts track the data for you with Huddle Assist. Trigger post-game review time with Focus uploads and assist stats and reports. So you can spend less time on logistics and more time on your game plan. Huddle Focus is also revolutionizing the fan experience. With flexible live streaming options, you can engage fans digitally with the option to cash in on your views. AI is changing sports. Use it to your advantage and never miss a moment. Visit huddle.com/focus today.
So that quick video did a lot.
Landscape.
Oh, you're watching again. That quick video just did a lot more for this presentation than I ever could do. But I'll say this, in years of coaching, both middle school to high school and community level, I can remember coming in from a game on a Friday night and then having to put in the VHS tape into a 6 VHS tape system, and then the amount of time that it took to download, or not download, to copy all those VHS tapes, so that I could walk out of there as a coach to go home and watch that film every night, every Friday night, into Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon. Took hours of work. With Huddle, and it's something that not almost all, but the majority of our teams already use. It is instant upload. At this point, our teams are all videotaping either on a camera or an iPad. But as soon as that game's done, it goes right to the cloud, it uploads it, and you can watch it instantaneously as soon as you walk out the door. You can watch on your phone, you can watch on your TV at home, you can watch on a computer. The process of huddle has increased greatly over the last couple of years, where now they have things that are part of the process in the program called Huddle Assist. And what Huddle Assist does, it sends it to a person somewhere in this world who's working all night, and they're taking the AI that's already in the system, and they are giving you live statistics about that game.
During the game, sorry, I know you said live, so is it
No,
live?
at post-game. So
Okay.
somebody in the world post-game is gonna get that.
Mhm.
So when that coach wakes up that next morning, they'll have an email saying that their Huddle Assist is done. It'll tell you in basketball where every player took a shot, if it went in or did not. It'll tell you their passes, their rebounds, all those types of things, almost instantaneously. It's within 12 to 24 hours. So all those things that coaches used to have to do in order to break down a game, to then determine whether or not those players are in the right situation, or to start the game plan for that next game, that would take hours upon hours upon hours. And now, within 24 hours, you have all that information and you're ready to go. Now, not only does it do that, it does, through the system, it allows each of the athletes to have a page. Okay, so what the students can do is tag that film that is in there to help go into a database for them to create highlight films. Okay, so it's something they can use in the recruiting piece. All the film these days, and I can remember this as a coach, is I would have to drive somewhere in between here and Chamonix on Sunday morning and drop off a film, meet somebody in a parking lot of a diner, say, here's your film for this week, we're playing you next week, I get their film, come home. Now we all remember how bad VHS tapes were and how bad some people were at using a camera. Sometimes there were not very good films. This is all HD quality and it's done for you, and you can instantaneously, as soon as it's in your cloud, you can send it to the next opponent.
So this is stuff that because I know we use Huddle, already, but the stuff that you're talking about is not part of the package currently.
So some programs, some booster clubs pay for it
Okay.
to have done. Some do not. They just want to be able to watch the film. They don't get the breakdown in the assist. They don't get. They can share easily, but they don't get the breakdown in the Huddle Assist, which is a huge data point for them when they're looking at how they did that game and how they're going to prepare for the next game.
And then the players would have, like you said, for them to do their own highlights, they have access to that because they already have a login, because like if they're studying film or whatever, they would have access to that as well, like families, if they wanted to create their own highlights 100%. To promote themselves for after or whatever.
100%, it's downloadable. You can upload it to YouTube if you want to create a YouTube page for yourself. You can download the URL and copy and paste it into a Twitter or an X feed that you're putting out to coaches, things like that. The other thing that the coaches that only football currently uses is you can upload your playbook into that system. You can do presentations, so if you do a presentation for a parents group, something like that, you can put that in there so that it's always able to be seen. And then you can communicate player to coach through that system. In the painstaking hours in my high school and college career of getting yelled at in a film session, those things have kind of gone away. The coaches and teams aren't wasting 2 hours on a night after a game to watch that film as a team and have kids be called out in public. They just put those notes right into the film that you literally stop it, you hit a little button, and we type in what the correction would need to be made for that position. Okay, so this huddle aspect, is currently in use for some of our programs, not all. But by going to the Huddle Focus program, you can hit the button there, please. What we would like to do is have Huddle Focus set up in our gyms, both gyms, and in our stadium, so that there is a broadcast of every game on a live stream app called Huddle Fan, which is available on Apple TV and Roku and Fire TV and online itself. And so that you're getting HD quality video, like we saw in the commercial there, and it tracks the ball and moves accordingly. And then it's all done through mounted cameras and an app. So it'll upload our schedule right away, right from our Schedule Star program. It'll pull it right to the huddle. And then I'll go through on a weekly basis and just make sure all the times are correct and the turn-off time and the start-up time. And we'll be able to video both JV games, freshman games. We'll be able to video all of our middle school games that are in the stadium. If our band or drum line or color guard is using the gym, they'll have an account so they can film their practice and any competitions that they may have, so they can watch it back on their device.
And since it's, I know that'll make a lot of people happy, just because I, even alumni that move away, they can't always watch stuff, but they want to watch stuff. But, and I just think of like players now, as then when they're older and if they have kids and they want to show, after it's live, does it record and save somewhere?
It saves to the cloud.
Okay.
So it'll be, you can go on to the Huddle Fan page.
Yeah.
And you can click what year you want to go back to.
That's cool.
And it'll be there.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
And it's very cool, following, like if you have a basketball game, it's following the ball back and forth. There's no camera moving. The cameras themselves actually just shift the scene back and forth. There's nothing actually moving on the whole device.
So in that box, there's 3 cameras. So it covers all parts of the court or all parts of the field. And so where that ball or the majority of those players are, it'll follow that track. I'm sure somewhere there's going to be a hiccup at some point and it's going to glitch, but for the most part the AI has gotten so much better that it's able to follow the ball. So currently we have a number of sports here that use it, and there's a cost for each of the programs, and right now our booster clubs pay for this program. They pay for the huddle, which is the cloud. They pay for the site itself where everything is stored. And then some have huddle assist, some do not, and it kind of varies. Like boys basketball is only $559, but they were kind of like grandfathered in because 8-9 years ago when this first came out, they charged the first program the most, and then it kind of got, if you signed up underneath them, there was a little bit. So it really hasn't changed too much in cost, but it's about $13,000 for our booster clubs that they have to raise money to get that money to then pay for the huddle account. How we're looking at the silver package just kind of explains it all, what we would be videotaping, the Helm Stadium activities, which includes our marching band for their yearly Spectrum of Sound, the green gym, the white gym, the flex camera, which is a 4th camera, which is flexible that you can take to one of our off-sites, baseball or softball. We have swimming. They say not to get a mounted camera in the pool because of the humidity, but bringing in the flex camera and putting it up, and it all runs and it can go live stream right from there.
Scott, real quick, I saw girls soccer wasn't on there. Do they not have huddle or girls soccer?
No, girls soccer does not use huddle.
Really?
Yeah. They have someone that their booster club pays to videotape some games.
Okay.
He's not at every game, but then he uploads it to a document share type.
So each
file.
sport decides if they want to use huddle or something
Yeah,
else.
but this now is going to give them all the process. They'll get every piece of it and they can start to use it. So all of our athletes, and then plus the band and drumline, color guard, will all be able to have whatever they're doing. Huddle assist means that they get the game film breakdown, they can scout, they can do individual and team highlights. The company Huddle itself actually, through the AI, pulls out weekly highlights. So you don't do it, it just does it for you, and all of a sudden there'll be a game recap a couple days after the game, and you can watch a 3-minute synopsis of what the game entailed. And then, one thing is the Huddle Fan TV, and that gives live streaming capabilities. So grandma and grandpa, aunts and uncles, all over, they can watch it. Yeah. So what I'm looking at is for our silver package, because of the amount of cameras and we have 2 gyms, it's going to be about a $16,000 cost to the district. I worked with the budget process, and we have that into the budget for next year. What we are anticipating is doing a deferred revenue from the booster clubs. So they're not gonna get charged the full amount, but they're going to be asked to get advertisements for games. So on the scorebug, that's on the screen, we'll be able to put a little logo, if you will, of a business. So they would send a check to the school district, gets deposited, and I will go in weekly and put up that advertisement. If they choose not to go and get advertising, they can just sponsor it as the Rams Baseball Club or whatever their booster club name is, and get that. So ultimately, it's gonna be about a $4,000 cost to the school district.
So that's what will be in the budget. Is it budget, are you
Well,
budgeting
the
for
whole
4,000?
16,000 is in there, but
Oh,
we're gonna
okay.
defer the revenue by bringing 12,000 in. Now, it said in the commercial that you can also bring in other funds. You can charge pay-per-view, so you can, if anybody wants to go on, it's an online thing. The comparable program to this is called an FHS, which is another nationwide high school sports live streaming application, and that is a yearly subscription or a monthly subscription in order to watch it in general. My thought process is that we have a great fan base here. We always have a good amount of people in our stands, whether it's a Tuesday night soccer game or a Friday night football game or a Saturday afternoon basketball game. It might not be a great crowd, but it'll be some people there. But we don't want people to have to choose, am I gonna go to the game or am I gonna watch the live stream? Because we still have those grandparents that may live in Florida or North Carolina or whatever. We wanna give them that opportunity at no cost. And Brian, bringing in that money through the advertisements, I think that it's a definitely viable
Can
option.
I jump, one of the things that we've talked about is for the respective booster clubs, that $12,000 is really, they'll have options and choices as an individual group to figure out how they wanna offset that cost. I wanna be clear about that. One option is for them to seek sponsorship so we can stick it on that live stream. But maybe in other booster clubs, just like, hey, we're gonna pay our own freight, or they can come up with their own fundraising activity to actually supplement that cost. That way, we're deferring that 16,000, but providing those higher level services for all programs.
So like girls soccer still does not want to use this, they just.
No, they want to use it, they just
Okay.
haven't.
Okay.
So we're giving them, they can choose not to, but
The
they're.
standard in soccer for videotaping is just different than Huddle. It's
Yeah.
the same type of system, but they're typically using different counter systems. And the only reason I know that is because I'm tied into that world to a certain extent. So they use Veo or Speedio. They're all the same type of stuff, but they're paying somebody to do that for them.
So is the $12,000 then divvied up between all of these?
Yes,
Because
so-
here, because cost per year, it's different, like you were saying.
Mhm.
So with this system,
We're lowering the cost across all
but
programs.
not everyone is paying the same amount, or is?
No, so we're gonna pay the amount, and then we're gonna get them to get sponsorships.
But is there a certain amount of sponsors each, for example, does football have to sponsor a certain amount, the same amount that boys soccer does?
It's gonna be per game, so I'm working on a matrix of, depending on how many games each team has, and how much the booster club, would have to pay. So football next year has 5 home games. Okay, so if we say to them $1,000, they get 5 $200 sponsors. They may also say, no, I'm just gonna write you a check for $1,000 because it's the $2,500 less than what we're used to be paying,
Right.
and we're okay with that. And so, but I met with the booster clubs back in August. And
Oh, nice, that's what, so
Yeah.
all of them, all the sports.
all the booster clubs were invited, and I think all of them were there. And we kind of kicked around different ideas and how we can make this work, and like field hockey is not on there, but field hockey was like, wait, no, we definitely want to be part of this. We want to live stream our games.
Yeah.
We want to be able to watch it back on film, those kinds of things. Because sometimes, like I said, soccer has their own videographer. A good example is our girls basketball team. They have a manager that comes and videotapes. Boys basketball has a manager that comes and videotapes. They also have a parent that also videotapes on a live stream through Facebook, so that their family and friends can watch it. But this will be a one-stop shop that everybody that is connected to Penn Ridge. Plus, you can go and watch whatever other high school you may wanna watch. You know, so it won't run through, if we're playing the Chamonix, it won't run through our huddle, it'll run through the Chamonix huddle. But the Chamonix has huddle, and you just go on and you can watch it through there.
And would we be able to have broadcasting with some audio?
Yeah, so that would be like the next phase, is that they have something called Production Truck. It's a Mac-based product that you can plug in microphones right to it. You can plug in additional cameras. So we could set up with our students in broadcast journalism, get up to speed. We could set up other cameras into this system to get various angles. We could also have a production team do live stream announcing.
Mr. Hagan, can you explain how this would interface with college recruiters?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, college coaches want to get communication from kids in the recruiting process. And the first thing they want, besides a hello, how are you email, and a little bit about their academic performance, is a highlight video, or just to be able to watch full games. Because sometimes the highlight video might be a little skewed, because you might have had 25 great plays in one season, but you might have had 1,000 not so good plays in the season. So they can watch game film at any time. They have an interface that they have for the coaches, excuse me, on the back end, so that they can watch this. And so it's about communication by our student athletes and how to get recognized and get recruited. All right.
So I just want to ask,
yeah.
so I just want to be clear, is there an extra cost to like a student athlete,
No.
if they're like, I want to do a highlight reel, do they have to pay more for it?
No.
And we're not planning on charging the live streaming
Correct.
to be like, you know, anyone can actually just subscribe to it, right?
Right.
Like, okay.
The only mechanism that I would foresee us charging for live stream is that when you get to district and state playoff level, if we choose to live stream it, we have to pay a fee to the PIAA.
Okay.
Gotta get their money.
They gotta get their- So if we were to live stream it and we were to put a subscription cost for that one game,
Mm-hmm.
then we would get a percentage of that live stream cost back, and it would pay for us using that vendor. Okay? Questions about Huddle? Okay? All right, moving on to digital ticketing. In 2021-22, when I took over as assistant principal of athletics, there was some conversation about digital ticketing. 9 out of every 10 people that come to our games that is not prepared to buy a ticket in the proper way is asking, is there a way to buy it with a credit card? That one other time is them saying, I only have a credit card and I have cash. Okay? So in 2021-22, we rolled out the idea of digital ticketing. And what we did was we set up all of our passes that families can buy. So we have a family pass, which is $135. We have an individual adult pass, which is $50, and a student pass, which is $35. And so for years in the athletic department, we had little cards that we'd sign and give to people and get a check from them, and they would take that to any regular season game here at the high school to get in for free. Not for free, get in with their pass. We kept those, we moved those over to digital, so people can buy them digitally. They save the QR code on their phone, and they scan it when they walk into the stadium. We also do our season tickets. So a season ticket is a $1 off the cost savings if you buy them prior to the start of the season. So a typical boys basketball game, a season has 10 or 11 home games. So you would buy your 10 or 11 tickets all at once at $1 off per ticket for the season. So we set that all up in MSB tickets. And then we set it up as you can buy an individual ticket for each game. And so we have QR codes in the ticket booths that we have for each of our events. So if people don't have cash, they scan it, they upload their credit card information, they turn around and show us it, we scan it with a computer or an iPad, and they go on into the game. The MSB ticket has an 8% service charge, just like if you're going to a Phillies game, there's a service charge or a concert, and I'm sure it's a lot greater than 8%. And that fee is 8% of the ticket pricing, right? So a $5 Tuesday night basketball game comes out to $5.30-something cents. Okay, so that fee is on top of the $5 ticket, but that's not part of the cost of the ticket. So we've had pretty good success with that. If you go to the next slide, please. This is just a quick video on how we do it. So we currently use MSB tickets, like I said, for all of our athletic events. We also use it for our school musical. We've used it, I think once they used it, at least once for a prom. Just a different way to gather the information. That way we're not dealing with as much cash, okay? In the past year, we just some examples. We played football against CB East. We had $6,500 in cash sales, but we sold 251 digital tickets for that game. So $1,255 goes right into this MSB system. It gets deposited right to the school, and it's good to go. The other $6,500 has to be counted after the game by multiple people, and then by myself, then taken to the bank and deposited. Girls volleyball, 339 tickets for a regular weeknight game. We only sold 5 tickets. Obviously, you can tell they weren't all adult tickets because it was under $25. But somebody came, didn't have cash, so they bought it on there. Girls soccer game, another example. Powder Puff, in 2021, when we were first getting introduced to MSB tickets, we said, okay, we're going to do this all online. And we said, let's try this out and see what it is. 580 tickets was comparable to each of the 2 seasons, two Powder Puffs before that, not including the COVID year. Okay, so we brought in $2,900 in tickets. And you can also see the student, adult, and family passes, how much of those that we sell each year. The family pass is obviously the greatest bang for your buck, if you will, $135, 2 adults, up to 3 kids into any game for the whole year. Moving forward, our rationale to go to all digital. If you've been to any of our games, oftentimes there is a pretty long line at the booth. We have, for a Friday night football game, we have 2 people selling tickets at the front gate, 1 person selling tickets at the back gate. The setup isn't perfect for having additional people there, so 2 people to do it at that front gate. They're literally, someone's getting a ticket, taking about 4 steps, and handing it to someone that's standing there to then take the ticket and say thank you. Okay, so literally that ticket travels 4 feet. With the ease of purchase for these, you can print it out at home if you so choose, or you can just download it to your phone and you get it scanned when you walk into the game. We don't have to count cash. Okay, so there are multiple people that have to count cash after each game. For a football game, it's 3 people counting each of the 3 tills. Then they have to switch and then count it to double count it. And then a 3rd person is me. I go down, I count it, bag everything up, take it to the bank for deposit.
So you're saying if we did this, we would be cashless? There's not the option of buying a ticket for cash when you get there?
What I'm saying, yeah, so we would be like to be cashless, yes. So obviously with money, cash being exchanged, there's a trip to the bank in the heart of every season. That's 3 or 4 or 5 days a week where I'm going to the bank during the course of the day. And we have staff that are now have now learned how to support the technology of people that are struggling with the purchase of the ticket. We will continue to offer our gold cards for anybody that's 62 years of age or older in our district. They get a gold pass, and that allows them into any regular season game. So one of the comments is always, some of the older people in our community will struggle with this process. If they live in our district, they get in for free anyways. So they can bypass the line and just show their gold card gets them and a guest into every game.
What about kids, I hate anything cashless, I think it's awful, but I'm probably in the minority. What about like middle schooler kids? There are some who don't have phones.
Sure, so they can purchase them on their computer. They all have district laptops, so parents can go in and put that in, and then they can print them to bring them in. And that's the paper way of doing it, but if they don't have a phone, which might be a small minority, I guess, that they can always print it and bring it in. They're coming in, a middle school kid is coming in with an adult anyways, because they have to come in with an adult.
Is that
Really?
by the way, I know that happened for football. Is that for every sport, like basketball?
Yeah, so basketball, we might get 2 middle school kids in a game, but yes.
Right,
Yes.
good point. So it's like not, but mainly
Yes.
football, I knew that
Yes.
was like
Yeah.
a new norm.
Yeah,
Along those same lines though, as a parent, that feel like I'm giving my kid my credit card all the time, it drives me crazy. And I don't like it because I feel like my credit card is now floating out there because they don't have credit cards even when they have a phone. So I would do it on mine and like send it to
Yep,
them.
you can send it to them.
Like I just would give them
You
$5 and be like, go.
Yeah, so you can send it as a screenshot.
Yeah.
So like people that have the family pass, they have it as their their lock screen. Like literally they have it as a lock screen when they're walking into the games.
I would love to still offer both.
But then there's not like, go ahead.
Because, and I know it's just because I have experience over this wrestling season at North Penn, because they were all digital. It was a nightmare, and everyone was, I mean, it was ridiculous. People needed to like chill out, but like the workers were upset because a lot of the away team that was coming didn't know it was digital. It was for a wrestling event, and the home people even did it. The line was so long, and maybe because it's new, and maybe it's gonna go that way. But I mean, it was hot.
Can we do both for like a
I
few
think a lot of it's
years?
gonna come down to communication with other teams.
We have to know both for 2 years.
So like
then the ticket
the
numbers
like
are kinda
PIAA for games, they are cashless.
Yeah, so all
playoff
playoff games
Yeah.
are all cashless. So any playoff game is cashless. So they don't even give you the option.
It's because PIAA needs to get their money.
They do, but their ticket that they use through hometown ticketing also has a $1 charge plus a percentage, right? So $1, the percentage goes to the company, an extra dollar, I guess, goes to. Now, they don't always, they hide that cost. So when you buy that $8 ticket, it's actually only a $6.50 ticket.
Where's that go toward? Does that go to them, or does that just go for like the charging cost?
The charging, for us, the 8%
Yeah.
goes to the company.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's the same company that we use in the schools. So like all of our cafeterias and, what's that?
Point of service.
Yeah, point of
Yeah.
sale.
Money on your kid's cafeteria account,
Yeah,
use my school.
it's all through my school books.
Yeah.
So
Can we hook it up to that?
What's that?
Like my kids have the easy school.
The My
That's
Can
what-
I hook it up to that and be like they pay out of
Everyone in
that?
the community has it.
I'm not 100% sure.
I'm thinking,
I don't know the
I don't go. I send my kids.
Yeah.
I'm like leave.
I'm thinking too, like somebody like my dad would come to a high school activity when none of us were in high school. If he got to the gate and realized, oh, I had to plan this and download it, he's gone. There's some people who just won't do
Last
that.
minute.
Yeah.
I don't know how I wish we could offer both and it could be ease of that, but it even looks like the numbers are not high enough for the digital sales
What
to
if
even
No,
Sales
say.
are
so
more
they,
expensive.
but they are, because if you go back to that, like 580 people at Powder Puff is on par or better than we have ever had.
But I feel like that's like, and I feel like even like with musicals, like it makes sense. I don't know why. Like for musical, I get it. Like you're gonna buy your ticket online, you're gonna pre-order. But I think because like sports have always been like you show up at the door, you buy your ticket. Just like Power Puff is once a year,
It's a
and
big thing. Yeah.
I know. So I feel like it's a hard like mindset to.
Yeah,
What if
so,
cash tickets were more money to like try to encourage people to go digital, but then people like me will just pay more to go.
I think the kids are ready for it. Like, I get where you're going with it. I'm just,
Right.
I'm just like,
right, so,
There's always gonna be people that are gonna get there and be like, oh, but I think that when you start it and there's communicating, they'll eventually,
So-
there's always gonna be that one.
so my forms of communication, obviously on social media, I can post things the day of every game. I also send a memo, if you will, to each opposing team for where the bus has to park, where the locker rooms are, where the fans enter, all these things. And I do always include the electronic tickets, because the faster we can get people into the venue, the better off people are gonna be. So those were just a couple of examples, but we do sell a decent amount, not necessarily for our indoor sports, but for our outdoor sports, we sell a lot of electronic tickets.
Like for football, I feel like
Excuse me.
it's tough. Now, here's a question, because here's just a plan for it, because, you know, maybe the majority wants to go forward with the digital ticketing system, but if somebody does show up that doesn't have the digital ticket, like, that would kill me to send them away. So how can we plan for in those instances, like, I still feel like we shouldn't turn them away.
No, so
And what if they don't have the option to like get on or?
yeah, so my number one plan is to get, they don't sell them through My School Bucks, but to get a kiosk. So you can go up, put your credit card in, you type it out, and then it prints out a paper.
What if we don't have a card? Like, again, I'm just thinking of like the guys that have been in this community forever, that come to like, you know, every football game, and
Most of them are 62 and older.
Yeah.
So they get, and we
so
have
then they would
those-
be for free.
They would be for free.
Okay.
Yeah, and I stand, so especially with the playoff games, because not everybody understands that,
Right.
right?
Because I just started, right?
Yes, this is the second year.
Okay.
I stand at the gate, my ticket scanners, my ticket takers, we have QR codes plastered all around it. We help them through. I literally have taken my glasses, put them on, and grabbed the guy's credit card and put them in, and helped them do it, right? And as soon as it goes through, their ticket might come in a minute on their email, but it goes directly to the system, and we can go in by last name and allow them to go in via that button.
Mr. Palmer said that he volunteered to put his credit card on file.
Yeah, people are getting pay the person card cash, here's my cash.
Yeah.
Just put it on their card.
I mean, having dealt with this myself for a long time, it's tough having all of the cash. It
Yeah.
is challenging, you know, having I used to have a policeman follow people over to the bank because there's always thousands of bucks in cash that you're dealing with, and you don't have a safe down there in the stadium, like.
No, so one of my game managers, a security person, or myself, we come down to my office, we put it in as soon as the ladies are done counting, we put it in the safe, and it goes there until Monday, then I come in. You know, like, after Thanksgiving, when you're counting $12,000 to $15,000, you know, and sitting in my office, I'm like, you get overwhelmed by that much money.
How many people roughly, on average, come to like a home football game?
So the number always seems a little bit off because you have, you know, when you look in the stands, you're thinking, oh my gosh, we got 5,000 people. But you've got 100 plus band kids
Right.
and the support staff for both of the bands.
Well, and how many tickets in general?
Uh,
on average
the
do you think you
stadium's
sell?
Between 2,500 and 3,500 for a regular season game.
Okay.
Thanksgiving's probably about 4,000 plus.
Okay.
But Thanksgiving, there's reciprocity between the two schools, so like the staff member gets in with their ID badge for a game, we allow Quakertown staff to come in.
Right.
So there's not always that.
Where you have to even buy a ticket.
Yeah, where you see a person in the stands, you know, it may not be, that's why they announce at a game today's paid attendances,
Mhm.
because there's always other people in there
Right.
that came in as support people
Sure.
for groups.
is this what other schools use too?
Yeah, so, well, first off, did you get past it?
It was
I think you
514.
went past it.
Yeah,
Go back a little bit. Suburban one, the POA, North Penn, Chamonix, Plymouth White Marsh, Truman, Saturn all offer only digital tickets. North Penn, which you previously mentioned, went to all digital tickets last winter. So in the fall, they had cash, and the winter, they ripped off the Band-Aid and said, no, we're going all digital.
This past winter. Or the winter before.
Yeah, a year ago.
So still train wreck this winter.
And you know, we travel well, so it might have just been overwhelmed by the number of people there too.
Yeah.
There are other schools that are planning on going digital. They haven't given me, they're going to meetings like this to determine. So they didn't want to say that specifically if they were going to be all digital or not. You know, like I said, for 2 years we've offered both options, and I think we've been successful with both. But I think that there's a time where we need to make a choice, and you know, I could have probably sat here a year ago and done that, but only haven't been in this position. This is my 3rd year. I thought, okay, this is the time when, you know, I'm gathering all this data. I think that other schools are doing this, and it's going in the right direction for them. Like I said, out of buff, things like that. Ticket pricing. So there's a couple things that, you know, the ticket prices haven't changed at Penn Ridge in the 14 years I've been here. Not that we're trying to look at having people pay more money to come to events, but one of the things I was talking to other schools about is that a lot of them let their students in for free, except for football, because football is such a bigger crowd. And that's something that I would like you to think about as a group, to allow our students in for free for other games with their student ID.
Isn't that a lot of our sales to
What's
students? Isn't that a lot of the sales we make to students right now?
Well, for a football game it is, but for, I think the most we had at a basketball game was probably 60 this year.
Oh, you're saying except for football?
Yeah,
Football
so
is
every other sport allow our students in for free with their student ID. I think that brings a great culture to the building. It brings more kids out to watch their friends, and builds a little bit more camaraderie at the games. But kind of to offset that would be to move the ticket prices to $6, and that 8% would be part of the ticket price. So we would get about $5.60-something per ticket as opposed to $5. Knowing that we're going to get a little bit less because the students won't be there. But then for the football games, having it go to $6.
And now you've sold me, because now I don't have to get a ticket for my kid every game.
There you go.
Except
the other pieces, we'll still continue to talk about season tickets, $1 off the cost, and then the passes. If we're going to increase the price of a single game ticket, that would be up to, because it's a board decision to determine how much the passes would be if you would like to adjust those.
Would the student pass still apply if we're letting them in free?
It would not still apply for letting them free.
Well, when you met with the boosters, did you bring this part up as well? What are like thoughts? Just
It's funny. Some boosters are really good at like I make a document that I sent out the other day to all the spring teams, and I asked them to share it with all their families, all the players and their families, and then I'll post it again on social media here over the next week and a half before our games start. Some teams are really good about going and getting the family pass. That's more in the fall because they know they have the whole season to use it. But my example that I shared with them is that it would be for a family of 5 to come to a boys volleyball game, even though there's only 7 home matches this year, it would be $144. So you still should buy the family pass because you're still saving.
But what about going cashless? Is that like any thought?
No, I haven't talked to them about cashless, but I have talked to individuals about it, and they're like, if that's what we're gonna do, that's what we'll figure out. Yeah, it's kind of the maturity of our school district to like, you know, hey, we're doing this as a way to do it.
What's a family pass include?
2 adults, 3 kids. Yeah.
One shot kid. That was what I was saying.
Yeah. Well,
The ticket revenue goes to, it's just part of the sports budget.
it goes to the general fund of the school
Okay.
district.
And then out of the general fund, we're paying for our officials and all the costs that come
Game
with
workers,
game
things like that.
workers. scorekeepers.
And then the price is going up too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Suburban
official,
One League is.
right, yeah, the officials' fees went up 7% this year, across the board. It's so hard to find officials.
And there isn't a concern that using Huddle for free would detract from ticket sales?
You know, I think it won't deter our fan base. Okay, I think it's going to be a benefit for those that don't live in the area. The only time it probably would outweigh it is if it's pouring down rain and people are gonna be like, live TV,
Right.
$5 and $6, $5 ticket, sitting and getting all wet.
Soccer game.
Right, right, yeah, I think you're looking at the extreme situation there. I don't think that for a run-of-the-mill Tuesday night game, Wednesday night, Thursday night game, you're gonna have any difference in the people that are coming to the events.
I think you'll just have more people excited about sports. Like, if you can just flick it on and watch it.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's also, one of the things we didn't mention is that it is the standard within Suburban One.
Right.
That, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Found out on
We're
Friday,
the one-
we're the
we're-
only team in Suburban One that doesn't have Huddle Focus. Yeah.
the only one.
I was hanging out there with Lower Moreland and then, nope, they got it.
Have you done any numbers to see what we would lose if we do let students in for free? Like, would it be more than make up for it in bumping the dollar up on the adult tickets?
I think it would, I don't think there will be a major difference.
Because it's not football.
Except for football, and that's what we're gonna still charge them.
Okay.
You know, if you look at, say we have 60 kids, $4 a ticket, but some of them have family passes, some of them individual.
Yeah.
Like, so maybe it's 50 of the 60, that's $200 on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
But we still are gonna have $400 with parents there and
Yeah.
fans. I think that,
We don't get a ton of fans out until it's
right, right, and this.
That's when you get a lot of
And like, I know I mentioned football a lot tonight, I know I mentioned basketball a lot tonight, but like, girls soccer, girls field hockey, boys soccer get nice crowds. But we don't get student sections. We might get, if the girls and the guys aren't playing on the same night or the same time, you get the boys team and the girls team to go, and maybe 10 other people. Our boys lacrosse game was at a lot of girls soccer matches this year, because one of the boys lacrosse players' sister played soccer, so they all came to hang out with him to watch his sister.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not a huge crowd.
We'd be able to collect through the digital system too, we'd have better data points to be able to articulate
Yeah.
who was actually doing
Because
what.
there's reports that
When you're, when you're handling cash, it's, like, at the end of the day, you can do a count, and, but who's paying for kid ticket, this, that, we would have harder numbers to be able to make that analysis.
Any other questions? I mean, curriculum look good. I like the time I kept you out on the phone. All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
I think that's it for activities then. Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Paul.
you.
And I don't believe there's public comment.
Jane, do you have any comment?
I think we're good. The first
You are
in
public.
my history on the board, we had no public comment.
Real. Oh my God.
That's weird.
Wrap this up before somebody says it.